Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Dragon Ball Nation. Now today I'm going to be giving you guys a Dragon Ball Super discussion, talking about the recently teased, I suppose, what a lot of people I guess have called Omniversal Tournament. That it's in a tournament that is presumably going to be between all 12 universes. We don't know if this is going to happen, but it's pretty heavily implied that this is going to be. And we're going to be talking about the effects on the story and kind of how maybe this could have been tweaked to play out better. And joining me is Mike from Laughing Stock Media. How about you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, it's Mike here from Laughing Stock Media. Gonna talk about some Dragon Ball Super.
And hey, I'm definitely not the first person to talk about this. I'm sure I haven't been checking out other people's videos on this. I try to avoid other people's videos when I'm talking about specific things, so it doesn't cloud my own judgment. Mike, I know, has done his own videos, so I'll link that down below. I'm sure he's not going to say everything he says to keep it a little unique, and we're not even going to be just covering what we want to see in the tournament specifically. What I want to talk about first, though, is that, and what I want to see is a lot of different new types of designs. Maybe give Vegeta more opportunities. I don't know what the teams are going to be like or anything like that. We can't even begin to assume what the teams are going to be like. It could just be like one person from each universe or two people. I don't know, Mike. What do you really think this tournament's going to be like? Because at this point, it is 100% purely speculation if it's going to even happen. What do you think in terms of like teams or like designs? Do you even think it's going to come out of this? Because that's just, right at that point, you're going into the mind of Toriyama's design work, and that's hard to do.
Honestly, I kind of hope that this new tournament is more like the original tournaments from Dragon Ball, where they have preliminary rounds and, the teams just don't fight team on team on team on team like 12 times, but more like everyone can end up fighting one another. Because it'd be really interesting if, like, at the climax of the tournament, we end up seeing, Goku versus Vegeta in the final round, or, once again, Goku versus, Hit, or maybe, I don't want it to be 5-on-5 either. Like, I want them to have, like, maybe 10. So we could just put everyone in there. Have Gohan in there, have Piccolo in there, have Boo in there, have Tien, have Krillin, have, different characters like that.
Android 18, of course.
Android 18, I'm sure, would, be able to fight, but for some reason, ever since she had a kid, she wants to stay home. Maybe they'll put Chi-Chi in there, who knows. Goten, Trunks, if they're actually, teenagers this time, so we could actually not have the really annoying pain-in-the-ass Goten Trunks anymore, but the ones that, could actually be entertaining and have characters other than being kids that are annoying. But, we never even know when this is going to take place, though, either, because for all we know, this could happen after the end of Z, and Oob can be in it. No one really knows.
That would be absolutely insane. That really would be.
I mean, I would really like that to happen if, especially if they're going to open up to even more people coming in. Like, Gohan, Oob, Goku, Vegeta, that would just be really cool. And we could actually develop Oob in a way that's not like the GT development way, where he's completely useless. Even after he, refuses a Boo, he still loses immediately.
Right.
But I really hope that it's got, preliminary rounds and everything leading up to, a final round. But I feel like it might be more akin to the Afterlife tournament, where each Kai had his own team and people fought, different members of the teams, in different rounds. We'll have to see, though. I don't know what they're going to even be fighting for other than, let's have a cool tournament.
I mean, I think there probably will be some prize. We don't really know, and again, I said in the beginning videos, I don't want to focus on this part of the universes too much, because I really do want to talk about the universes themselves and their effect on the story. But just to put my 2 cents in, I kind of agree with what you said, Mike. I'd like to see some throwback style tournament where it could be Goku and Vegeta fighting at the end, which that could be amazing. If that was a last arc or something, that would be incredible. Or something that could be cool, which we don't see in Dragon Ball really. Imagine it being 2v2 fights. That would be something crazy. But we're going to have to see. But I really want to talk about
Goku and Vegeta actually teaming up for once.
Think about it. It would be crazy. But what I do want to talk about is kind of this arc, quote-unquote arc, if it is an arc that's going to happen, or if it could just be being teased. We don't know. Just assuming it's going to happen. The effect on this, because if this is introduced and we don't see... This could make it so we don't initially explore any of these other universes, which is a big deal, because... If some people remember, back when Dragon Ball Super was coming out, and it wasn't out yet, Toriyama said he was designing all these new worlds and stuff. And I think that,
yes.
I think that's something that I do want to see sooner than later. This Omniversal Tournament, as people would call it, might kind of clash with that story point, I suppose.
Well, I just really hope that, they end up having it take place after, like, some other stuff, like, a little bit down the road, because, like, all these characters are gods, so, like, 5-10 years is just a drop in the water for them. They don't know. Like, Whis is immortal. He just stays up all the time. He doesn't even sleep, like he told Beerus. Beerus, like, takes naps for 38 years at a time. So honestly, like, I hope that they just retcon the end of Z to where Goku is taking Oob to go train for the tournament, and basically he trains him, and then he shows up so that they could fight in the Omniversal tournament. That way you could just wrap it all up. You can make that tie into something. You can make, like, an explanation for why Goku just left with his kid, but, make it so he doesn't just abandon his family and he's actually doing it for something that matters, and explain as to why, even though Oob should be nothing to him and Majin Buu is nothing to him at this point, it matters. Like, I feel like if they did that, that'd be some really clever writing, and then we could have it take place 5 years down the road, so they could do some other stuff before that tournament. For all we know, that tournament is a climax of Super, like the final arc, so they might be doing some arcs in between.
Right.
And they mentioned a villain, like that, that it might clash with, the
Yeah,
white
the Toriyama
hair.
interview that we had probably about almost a month ago, where Toriyama said that Super Saiyan Blue was originally going to be white-haired, just to remind people, or if you didn't hear it, that he didn't want white hair because it would clash with a future villain, which is possibly something that's still going to happen.
Yeah, and they were talking about the future of a certain character, so it's entirely possible we'll get, like, some arcs that happen now, like, before we get to that tournament. That tournament is basically, like, the end game of the series. And, I mean, like, after they do a tournament with every single god and every, like, top fighter in every universe simultaneously, it's not like they can go anywhere up from there anymore. Like, aside from Goku fighting Zeno himself and beating him, there's literally nothing else they could do. So I feel like that's probably the end game of Super, and I feel like they're just building until, they're going to do some stuff in between. What they're going to do, I don't know, but I really hope, we'll have some interesting stories and developments beforehand, because if Goku couldn't even beat Hit, let's think of this too. Hit's probably not the strongest fighter in all 12 universes, so if Goku couldn't beat him, he's got to really step his game up, like, before the next tournament in order to beat anyone, because Universe 7 is going to just get curb stomped if like, Hit is, like, weak compared to some of the other people from the other universes.
I mean, I agree with you. I want to see it happen at the end, which I think would be the best spot, end of Super, wherever that takes place, whether it's past the end of Z or before.
Well, there is something I wanted to note, too.
Right.
I think Toriyama also wrote himself out of another hole recently with the manga, where they revealed that a Super Saiyan, or just a Saiyan, he has his prime up until he's 80 years old. Now, originally, Toriyama had stated that he didn't want to do anything past the end of Z because he thought that everyone would be out of their primes, would be too old. But now he says that once you're 80 years old, you end your prime. So for all we know, Toriyama basically wrote that, so now he could do a bunch of stuff that takes place after the end of Z. So I think it's entirely possible that everyone who thought the end of Z stuff is not going to be past is going to be past, and they're going to have this take place after, like, Goku leaves with Oob.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible, but, like, for these, I still want, like, there to be some serious, and there's been some world building with Universe 6. Like, there's been an immense amount of lore established here with the Universe 6. So imagine if we get this all expanded with these other universes as well, whether that's going to happen or whether that's more important or not. But there was a lot of lore building with Universe 6, and I think the main reason is because it was a twin universe, as, we stated that 6 and 7 are twin universes, so there was a lot more establishment that could have been had there. I don't know if we're going to get that with the other ones, because the thing is, we're not going to have a connection to, let's say, 5 and 8, which would add to, because each universe adds up to 18
everything
or
that
13.
adds up to 13.
Right.
Yeah. So everything that adds up to 13 is a twin. I originally thought that maybe Toriyama was doing that as kind of a cop-out so that we would only get to visit 6 universes. I had no idea that he...
Which, I mean, wouldn't be a huge deal. I don't think we're going to see every one of these universes or get to explore them all in an anywhere near equal manner. But I hope we get to see a glimpse, or, if we get this tournament, we're obviously going to get a peek at just about everyone from it. Or, big fighters.
I mean, I'm sure that we're going to see all the gods of destruction, or whoever happens to run each of these universes. I mean, I'm pretty sure that at this point, even though it's like, they're never said there's 12 gods of destruction, I'm sure that there probably are. Like, that's how Toriyama tends to be.
Zeno says, I should appoint new god of destructions as a joke, I suppose, to Beerus and Champa, implying that, he is the one that put them in that position. I bet you there's one probably for every universe. Yeah, it would make sense to keep balance.
I just like now how they have actually finally told us how some of these positions are made. Like, does this Xeno character literally come to all the Kais and like, yeah, you're the
I think so. I do think so. I really do.
That's definitely really cool that we finally have some kind of insight into how the god appointments are made, rather than them just like, not being like ever explained ever, and we just have to assume that they just somehow figured it out on their own. Now that we know that Xeno is like, yeah, you're the god here. You could be god. It's all cool. Like, maybe when Whis was offering, to Goku and Vegeta that, oh, do you want to become the next god? What would Whis take him to Xeno and be like, yeah, now give him God Key or give him this position so he could be this god for millions of years like Beerus was? It's really interesting, so I hope they go even further with that. And if we get to see 12 gods of destruction, I'm sure that they're going to bring up even more like lore and explanations as to how they work.
Yeah, it's all really crazy to even. I really hope that this stuff is capitalized on, because we don't know what's going to happen. We really have no idea what to expect.
Well, I do. Broly's going to be one of the gods. You know what? Not one. All of them.
He'll be the Omni God of Destruction.
Yes, he'll be... Xeno will...
That's the one that Xeno's afraid of.
Yeah.
But,
he's Super Saiyan White. Broly, God of Destruction.
So, Mike, Xeno we know is pretty much the lord of literally everything. What's beyond that? Do you think there's some position higher up than that, and do you think there is more past these 12 universes?
I think maybe Xeno is actually like the Koenma of Dragon Ball.
I was thinking that myself.
Well, his voice sounds like a baby. He is held by his hands by his guards who take him away. He's small, so it's entirely possible that he's like the son of the god, like he's basically the son of God in Dragon Ball,
Entirely possible. And Koenma, by the way, for people that don't know, is a character from Yu Yu Hakusho. Great anime. Go watch it.
He is the son of Enma for Danny and Hail.
They won't watch this.
But he is the son of King Yemba. And basically, like, he gives Yusuke, the main character of Yu Yu Hakusho, and everyone all their missions. So for all we know, that they're going to have another son here. And then it's going to be, like, the real god. And it's just be Toriyama. And he'll be like, hi, I'm Toriyama. And that's the end of the series.
Honestly, if that happened, I wouldn't be surprised. Toriyama is the head. And if you think about it, like, Toriyama bot or something, at the end, it makes sense. He is the guy of Dragon Ball. He's the creator of everything that is in the series, essentially.
Well, they asked Toriyama, like, is there a divine being in Dragon Ball? And he said, yeah, it's his name is Akira Toriyama, and he's a gentleman of, like, unlimited class or something along those lines.
Yep, but that's kind of been our thoughts for today, guys. Mike, I don't think you have any... We pretty much covered everything, I'd assume, right?
Oh, yeah, like, we went really in-depth into this, so...
we got some outside sources in here that you, brought in, from old stuff Toriyama said and other things that are said in the series.
Absolutely. So, people, if you really want the best in-depth, explanation, share this with your friends, because this is a video you're going to want to look for.
Right, well, without wasting any more time, guys, please check out Mike from Laughingstock Media's channel, link down below. Very good source of Dragon Ball information, power scaling. What else, Mike?
Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super. But no, I do lots of different stuff. I'd like to talk about movies, review them, in-depth discussions, professional wrestling, and Star Wars and other stuff. Pretty much everything that comes to mind when you think of the word awesome. So come check me out. You won't, be disappointed.
Right, well, go do that, guys. Link down below or annotated on the screen right now. But other than that, thank you guys all for watching. Please post your thoughts down below on the 12 universes, how you might want that tournament to work out, and what do you want to see in terms of how the universes are presented? Do you want them to go in there and explore them? Do you think that's going to realistically happen? Give me your thoughts down below. But other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.